Hello, welcome to another tutorial video for Manage Engine ServiceDesk Plus Cloud. In this video, we will be learning about single-touch workflows and how you can build them in ServiceDesk Plus Cloud. Single-touch workflows are event-driven workflow automations that complete a set of IT tasks either sequentially or in parallel or as a batch without requiring any form of human intervention between different states. IT and enterprise service teams can lean on single-touch workflows to eliminate fatigue and boost productivity across a range of ITSM practices and use cases. Some of these use cases are automating employee onboarding requests, auto-remediating IT incidents, accelerating change management, and eliminating risks. Zoho Circuit is a low-code, no-code workflow automation platform that is available within ServiceDesk Plus Cloud. A circuit is a visual sequence of states that executes tasks and makes decisions with a fine-grained flow of data from one state to another. IT teams can automate a range of tasks such as performing AD actions, running PowerShell script on endpoints, starting and stopping Windows services, establishing SSH connections, or executing database queries. Let us now discuss on how you can build and launch single-touch workflows within ServiceDesk Plus Cloud for two scenarios. One is onboarding a new employee and performing a data backup on a server. Please note, Zoho Circuit integration will be available only in the Enterprise Edition of ServiceDesk Plus Cloud. When onboarding a new employee, a service request is first created, it is sent for approval, and once it is approved, a set of tasks is created and assigned to technicians which they need to complete to fulfill the onboarding request. Tasks like creating a local AD account, creating a Microsoft 365 email account, adding them to distribution groups, adding them to Teams channels, and sometimes we might need to update the employee information in some legacy databases as well. But all of these comes up with the challenges of their own when they are manually done. Challenges like an inability to connect to multiple solutions, technician might need to perform a repetitive task that demand time and effort, and the ability to handle complex business logics and flow of data. Now let's see how you can bridge these productivity gaps with ServiceDesk Plus Cloud's integration with Zoho Circuit. Now let's go ahead and enable Zoho Circuit integration for your instance on the cloud. Go to Setup, Apps and Add-ons, Integrations. Under third-party integrations, enable Zoho Circuit integration. Now, if you go back to the setup page, you should be able to see Zoho Circuit. Now, before you go ahead and build your own circuit, you can predefine some configurations under the Circuit Configurations page. Go to Setup, Zoho Circuit, and click on Circuit Configurations. You can predefine configurations like functions where you can define programming scripts that can perform a set of operations. This can be written in the form of Python, Node.js, Java, or Zoho's own Deluge. You can also define webhooks that allows communication to third-party applications, scripts to simplify message executions for larger scripts, bridge to connect to application servers, credentials where you can store your credentials securely that you can use as part of your circuit, a centralized file location under Files, tables to store reference data, your schedule to trigger the custom functions. One of the important configuration that you need to make a note of is the bridge. Bridge is an agent that you need to install on missions locally to connect to locally hosted applications or servers. You can download a bridge from the bridge section. Now let's go ahead and build a circuit to onboard a new employee. When you open up a new circuit canvas, it will load up to the builder view. You will have a default start point, a default state, and an endpoint. The function of the state by default would be pass, which means it is connecting to different points. Now, for this particular video, I'm going to be starting by renaming the state to create an account in Microsoft 365. The default type is pass. I'm going to change it to function, and I'm going to be selecting the function which I want to execute when a circuit meets this stage. Functions can be written either via Python, Node.js, Java, or Zoho Deluge programming languages. For this particular use case, I have already created a function to create email account in Microsoft 365, and I am selecting that as part of this particular state. Now, under the Input-Output tab in the RHS panel, I'm going to be adding parameters from where I'm going to be fetching values to add into my Office 365. Starting with the first name and the field ID from where I'm going to be getting values. You can get the field IDs from the additional fields section in ServiceDesk Plus Cloud. Once an account is created in Microsoft 365, I want a set of tasks to run parallelly. For that, I'm making use of the parallel node, and I'm defining my start point, the label for this particular state, and the endpoint. Now, under the configuration tab on the right hand side panel, I'm defining my path. My first path would be AD tasks. The second path I wanted to take is to do actions in Microsoft 365. And the third path would be to do some actions under the facilities database. So these are three different states. The first one is the AD task state. So under that, the first thing that I want to do is check for the employee's region. I'm giving that in the form of a branch state. From here, I can define branches by specifying some conditions. Now, if the value of region field is given as India, I want this particular employee to be added to the Indian organizational unit. Likewise, I'm creating multiple branches for adding user to the EU organization unit and adding user to the USA organization unit. The next thing that I want to do once these tasks are done is adding the user to the AD. I'm giving that as another state, and I am connecting all the previous states by choosing add user in AD state as an endpoint or as the next state. And once the user is added to the AD, the next thing that I want to do is add them as part of a group. I can define that as another state as well. Now we have defined the circuit. Now we need to define the functions for it. So for that, I'm selecting the add user in AD and changing the type to add AD user. We have that as a predefined type in Zoho Circuit. You select add AD user type. Select the bridge that is going to connect to the local AD. choose the credentials, define the host, define the organization units, and the object name, which is basically the employee's name. You can get them as variables from the respective fields or the respective state. Here, depending upon the region that is selected, we will parse the value as a result, based on which the user will be added to the respective OU on that next state. Likewise, you can build your own Zoho Circuit with the help of states, tasks, engines to connect to third-party applications, to connect to local ADs, or to connect to databases to fulfill actions automatically whenever a circuit is invoked in ServiceDesk Plus Cloud. Now that we have built a circuit, let's see how we can trigger this circuit. Under Setup, go to Triggers, and you can create a new trigger. For this case, I've already created a trigger called Employee Onboarding, where if the template is Employee Onboarding, I want a circuit to be triggered. You can select them as part of the actions under the triggers. Now, let's go ahead and create a request. If I go into Employee Onboarding, I'm going to be selecting the work model as resident, employee type of contract, giving the name for the user, the date of joining, the region he's going to work from, and add this request. And once this service request is approved, the circuit will get automatically invoked. As you can see, the circuit that we created called Employee Onboarding is now triggered. Now, if you go to Execution Logs under Circuits, you can see that the Employee Onboarding is initiated, and you can quickly preview its status. The green ones mean the tasks are already completed, and the yellow ones mean the task is currently running. Now that all the tasks are green, the circuit execution is now complete. Now, if I go in to my Active Directory, I should be able to see the account. As you can see, Albert is automatically added, and he's also added as part of the contract group as well. Likewise, if I go into my Teams account, I should be able to see Albert as part of my EU Teams as well. I have also written a function to update my facilities database. So I'm just quickly connecting to my database to see if Albert is added as part of the database. And as you can see, Albert is here. Now let's quickly go to Microsoft 365 Admin Center and search for Albert. We can see him added, and we can also see an email address has been created as well. So that is how you can make use of single touch workflows in ServiceDesk Plus to complete employee onboarding tasks parallelly. We can also embed Zoho Circuit within change workflows that can help you automate different aspects of change management. For example, let's look at a use case where an IT team is requiring to take backup of an ERP application from one of their data servers. In order to do that, the technician goes ahead, logs a standard change in an ITSM solution, and the standard changes usually come up with pre-approved. Then the technician goes to manually back up the ERP data. And once that is done, he updates the change and closes it. Now every step of this way is manual, and this eats up a lot of productivity. Right? So let's see how we can automate this with the help of Zoho Circuit. Now let's go ahead and build a circuit. So let's go to Zoho Circuit, Circuits. I'm choosing Change from the drop down, and I've already created a circuit for backing up files for a software installation. This is my circuit, which has only one state, and I have selected that state type as a PowerShell engine. Basically, I want that state to execute a PowerShell script, and I have selected which bridge it needs to use to communicate, the credentials that it needs to use, the script that it needs to run, and the variable from where it needs to gather data in order for it to execute successfully. With that given, now let's go to circuit configuration under Zoho Circuit, and this is where I have given the PowerShell script for me to copy the item from my source path to the destination path. With my circuit ready, I now need to execute the circuit, right? So you can execute a circuit as part of the change workflow, right? So I have created a standard change workflow to take a backup of an ERP machine. So when a backup request is created, it triggers a notification and it waits for a backup parameter, right? I've given that as a condition, and if that is satisfied, it goes into the planning stage, it checks for a couple of more conditions, does a risk evaluation, moves into the implementation stage where I have given my circuit. You can add a circuit from the RHS panel. On the RHS panel, you should find Zoho Circuit, drag it and drop it to the canvas, and you can select the circuit which you want to execute. Now that the workflow is ready, this is the path that I want to back up onto my other destination. Now let's go ahead and create a change. I have a template to which I have predefined the workflow, selecting myself as the requester and raising a change. As you can see, the workflow is now initiated, and I can see that it is waiting for the backup parameter to match. So let's quickly go ahead and give the destination and the source address. With that given, this will trigger my workflow, and if I go to my workflow page, I should see the circuit initiated. We can see that the circuit is now running and it's taking a backup of the software files. With the workflow being successful, let's quickly go to the destination folder and see if the backup is done. And as we can see, the backup has been taken. And it will also close the change, and thereby the circuit is complete, the workflow is complete, and we have taken backup of our server by using single touch workflow automation.